podcast. It is October 20th, Wednesday, and we have Kevin, we've had a great run of guests lately.
We
this
have,
might be
man.
our biggest, our best. Jarrett Payton joins the program, joins Bears Nation podcast to talk about the Bears. Of course, Jarrett, thank you so much for joining. We're excited to have you.
Man, thank you guys for having me, man. You guys doing good work, man. Anytime I get a chance to talk Bears, can't pass up the opportunity, right?
No, can't do it. Yeah, so Bears Nation podcast, myself, Jake Hassan, of course, with Kevin Lapka, and as previously mentioned, Jarrett Payton. And let's just get right into it. Bears play the Bucs. Obviously, a tough loss last week to the Packers. The train of misery continues, but Jarrett, everybody's talking about it. Your comments on the Aaron Rodgers quote from Sunday, the "I own you."
Man, it's I put it in a tweet. I think it kind of best sums it up that through my lifetime of actually previously going to watching the game and then going through old clips from my dad from the 70s to the 80s, you really see how dominant, the Bears were. And then, as I got into my teens and into my adult life to see, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and what they've been able to do. And Aaron Rodgers is terrorized me as a Bears fan. So it's been so tough. So to hear him say that at the moment, all I could say in my head was, dude, he's right. You can't deny the fact that he has owned the Bears since having a Packers jersey on. And it's very, very tough. But it also brought me back to thinking about how this town of Chicago and Bears fans have been searching for a quarterback, right? And we'll talk about Justin Fields. But the fact that Dan Wieder and I from the Tribune were talking last week about how I asked him, do you think this is the last time that we see Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field in a Packers uniform? And he was like, who knows? But I said, how crazy is it that organization and that fan base, because my wife is from Wisconsin, her family are all Packer fans. She's a Packer fan. It's crazy.
Jared, what are we doing here?
Yeah, dude, I know.
What are we doing here?
I know.
With your last name and everything. How?
Dude,
how did this happen?
I have no clue how it happened, but I was hoping to be on the other side of winning games so I could stick it to them. Nah, not happening at all. That talking to her family before the season, they're all like, nah, we don't care if he's gone. And I was like, whoa, dude, do you not understand what he means to the NFL, what he means to that organization? Listen, I'm a diehard Bears fan. I have to be honest, so I love the game. So I take in a lot of information. I watch a lot of football. I've never seen anybody like Aaron Rodgers before. I just haven't. I haven't. And when it comes to watching players, he's one of my favorites to watch in the game that I've ever had a chance because of everything he's able to do, not just throwing the football, but using his legs to be able to get outside, extend plays, and his knowledge of the game is just ridiculous. It's crazy. So the fact that Packer fans are like, who cares about him before the beginning of the season to now to seeing that, man, there's nothing you can say when he says he owns Chicago. He does. And so we got to figure out a way, this organization, this fan base, to really kind of turn the tide and reverse this a little bit. And I'm hoping that, Justin Fields is that answer for the long term because that young man, he has a lot of skills as well. It's just really about developing those skills and really getting the best out of him. And I think that's what we're all waiting to see.
It is what we're all waiting to see. And quite frankly, I think a lot of us, including Jake and I, thought we would see that last week, right? You look at what the Packers presented to you. Yeah, they have a good defense, but without Jair Alexander, Kevin King is out. Darnell Savage goes out in the second quarter. What Jake and I branded last week as possibly was going to be the changing of the guard, right? This is where Justin Field takes over and proves to be the best quarterback in the North for the next 10 years, just as Aaron Rodgers was for the past 10 years. We're waiting, Jared, it seems like we're waiting for the breakout game, the one game where it's like, all right, Justin Fields has arrived. And the question I have for you is it possible that this week is that game? Because you look at the Bucs statistically, they have a phenomenal best rushing defense in the NFL, but they rank 27th in opposing passing yards allowed, are allowing opposing QBs to complete 70.12% of their passes, 28th worst in the league. Teams are passing against Tampa Bay 72% of the time. If there were any week for it to happen, that breakout game, is it this week for Justin Fields?
Come on, Kev, man. Kev, I love you, bro. Listen, I love you because you just gave the stats, but guess what? I'm throwing those all out the window because we got to reverse here. Let's reverse because we can talk about stats, but we have to talk about this Bears offense, man. Like we don't know what we're going to get, but all we do know is if you want to rattle off those stats of looking at being 32nd in the league in passing yards and all this other stuff, dude, they have to figure it out. They still haven't found a way to be able to find an identity. And when they do have an identity, which all three of us know what it is, it's running the football. And then off of that, the play action. And so, yeah, you thought last week was going to be the week. I did too, because we were watching this team run a lot of outside zone, and shout out to Khalil Herbert and Damian Williams. I love those guys. They were running in Vegas. They were running that outside zone perfectly. And I was thinking, oh man, we haven't seen the boot and then get to the outside and some explosive plays down the field. I thought it was going to be last week. I think this week is going to be hard too. I think trying to figure out a way offensively, I think the best way for them to win is going to be controlling the game on the ground and keeping Tom Brady off the field. If they can do that, then I think they have a chance to win. Explosive plays, we have not seen that consistently out of this offense. And I don't know. It was weird. Dan Weeder and I were talking about it today too. After the interception, right? After the interception Fields through, and then that next drive, it seemed like a whole new offense. It seemed like Matt Nagy took over the play calling. I'm not sure what's going on there, but definitely the vibe that I got early on in those first two drives of watching this offense was totally different in that third drive. And so for me, they need to find some type of rhythm, some type of balance, and they haven't been able to do that. Not just this year, you guys. That's been a problem for Matt Nagy and his offense going into this year. We're going on 4 years now trying to figure out who they are. They don't have an identity. So honestly, no, I do not believe this is the week that we see Justin Fields explode and go off and go crazy. I think we see more progression. We see him take another step in his young career. But a lot of Bears fans that I talk to or that I interact with on Twitter, their biggest issue now is is Matt Nagy the right person to be able to help take Justin Fields to the next level? And I think that's really probably the biggest question mark that I think Bears fans are going to have to think about. And also too, this organization and that front office, they got to figure out if this is going to be the guy to be able to do that. And guess what? We won't know until the year is almost over. And then these are conversations that the Cassidy's are going to have to try to figure out. Because if you watch Justin Fields in college, man, everybody wants to talk about, I have to get this off my chest. Everybody talks about Mitchell Trubisky. Right. Mitch and I are cool, man. I love Mitch. I was a Mitch guy. I was a Mitch supporter, man. I love my dude, man. 10 was my guy.
You're looking. My co-host is the exact. He was probably bigger than you, possibly.
Yeah. But I was a Mitch realist though, because the people that didn't watch him in college and watch his film, because the night that they drafted him, I was at Hallis Hall, and one of the biggest things that I did was I got home that night and I turned on his film. And I watched every snap from his last year at UNC because I wanted to know what Ryan Pace saw in this young man to be able to move up and to get this guy, right? And I did. And what I saw was exactly what we all saw throughout his time in a Bears uniform. It was flashes here and there, the lack of consistency at the position, the inability to kind of be able to dissect the defense and figure it out. And he was really good at hurry-up situations. When the Bills came to Soldier Field in preseason where we saw him light up everything is because, you keep that defense on the field, they can't change. For him, it's getting the ball out quick. Everybody wanted to put it on Mitch and say, Mitch is no good. Well, you could say that if you want to, but also, too, we know his skills. We all saw what he was good at. He wasn't used properly here. So I don't know if it was Mitch was bad or was it 50-50 here that they didn't get the most out of him. But that's been like one of my biggest questions of trying to figure out, because I look at it and it doesn't seem like they did that. So who's to say that they're going to get the best out of Justin Fields? And I think that's what scares me the most, because watching his college film, dude, there's no denying what that young man did, dude. Like, I played in every single big-time bowl game. Every one, I was there. The only one I didn't play in, but I was there, was the Sugar Bowl against Florida. I played in all those bowls. When you're playing in national championships and big-time games, and you're able to overshadow everybody else that's on the field and stand out, like Deshaun Watson did when he played Alabama, like there's certain dudes that you watch and you go, that dude has it. Dude, Fields has it, you guys. There's no doubt about it. He has it. He's trying to figure out how to get the best out of him, and I still think that's a question mark. But having him kind of make that progression as the time goes on, I think that's all I want to see. Wins and losses to me right now, it's not really a big deal for me right now. I know everybody else is like, oh, nah. My biggest thing is watching Justin Fields develop and to keep getting better every single game, because he's the future. I never looked at this team at the beginning of the year thinking that they were a playoff team. I didn't. I'm just being honest. Never thought it. And I thought that they would win maybe 7 or 8 games. So to me, now the focus is on trying to get Justin Fields to a point where he's successful. He can kind of build on the things that he's doing on the field, because everybody's going, well, keep him off the field, put Dalton in. No, this kid is a baller. Only way he's going to get better is being on the football field and going through those situations. You can learn as much as you want in practice. It's totally different once you get out there on the field.
Yeah, and you're seeing that step-by-step progression because he was behind the 8 ball when he just started practicing with the starters, and now each start he gets a little better. I mean, the comment section is not going to like you for that, because every week I say it's going to be baby steps, and they yell at me for saying that you got to be patient. But
but hey, Jake, let him hate, man.
No. Well, I said this on our last show. Everyone wants Justin Herbert. Everyone wants Justin Herbert, who's going to come out and light it up right away and set records. And I said this on our last show, that rookie progression, especially with a quarterback, is not linear. It's going to be different for everyone. And for Justin Fields, considering the situation he's in, it's going to clearly take some time.
Yeah, but hold up. Let's be real with this situation. Like, he can only do so much.
Right.
Like, we're talking about, do you guys listen, Kevin, Jake, do you guys remember at the beginning of the season, what was the biggest issue that everybody was talking about on the offensive side of the ball? What was everybody worried about? They were worried about that offensive line, right?
Yep.
Okay, have they kind of gelled a little bit and gotten better? Yes, but that is one of the positions when you look at where the defense is in that front 7, and you look at the money that's been spent on the defense and other guys, some guys on the offensive side of the ball, Tariq Cohen, the one position that hasn't truly been identified and really honed in on is that offensive line. And you're not winning a championship. You're not getting deep in the playoffs unless you can dominate on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And so that is one of my issues. And you saw it. You saw it in the Cleveland game, man. That young man was running for his life. And my issue as a running back, when I was playing in Tennessee, the week that we played the Colts, man, it was all about Dwight Freeney. I don't care what route you have. You come down, you chip, then you get in, you help that tackle out, you chip. The fact that after halftime, they didn't make those adjustments. They didn't make any adjustments. I said it on a tweet that went crazy and went viral. Dude, they failed Justin Fields that game, man. There's no way. There's no way. You can't explain to me how you didn't make those adjustments to be able to help that young man out, and they did it. And that's one of the things that I'm going to always have a hard time as this season moves on to get past, because, man, we could be talking about something totally different right now about that young man getting hurt in that game, seriously hurt.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't, we're truly, truly lucky. And man, I'll never be able to forgive Matt Nagy for that moment.
Yeah, and honestly, it's something you have to be worried about this week too. I mean, because that Tampa Bay front 7 is legitimate too.
Yeah, you're going to have to find a way to be able to run the football, and going up against that front 7, I mean, they're not giving up any rushing yards, really. And so they're going to have to find a way. And that means you're going to have to put your big boy pants on. And when we get to this level, everybody wants to talk about, even myself, like, offensive line needs to get better. Well, guess what? When you look at the numbers of guys that get to the NFL that make it, right? It's a small number, man. The percentage is really small. So if you're there, that means you're good enough to be there most of the time. Dude, this is one of those weekends where the Bears, that offensive line, are going to have to put their big boy pants on and let's ride. And we got to run the football, man, and not get away from it. And I think the hardest part by watching Matt Nagy and his offense since he's taken over as head coach is that this team is kind of built to get the lead early on and then have the defense kind of like hold you up. But that hasn't been the case. The case has been they're playing from behind. They want to air it out, throw the ball short here and there, intermediate throws, and use, wide receiver screen here as like a run and this and that. No, that's not how you win games, man. Like every year since '99, I've been going to the Super Bowl to give out the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. The one thing that I've always seen is that those teams that get to the Super Bowl, they can run the ball in some form or fashion. They run the football. So I know everybody wants to air it out and they want to be, high flying offense and scoring. If you can't run the ball and control the game on the ground, you're not getting to a championship. You're not winning that trophy. You're not holding it over your head at the end of the season. So I'm hoping that they can find a way to get the lead early and stay with the run, because I know if they're down, the run game becomes absent. It's on the back of a milk carton somewhere.
But to that point, like I do see the better teams in the NFL be able to get down early and come back. Like you look at the Chargers and you look at, the Ravens and the Rams and the Cardinals and the teams with those air raid offenses. Like the run game is important. But what I think this relates to, that Jake and I have had this conversation. I really want to ask you it is, this old adage of defense wins championships, right? And for Bears fans, we have adopted this. We've adopted this for years, right? I mean, this is, the way you look at the way they've allocated resources. Maybe last year you kind of turn away from that because you choose Jimmy Graham over Kyle Fuller, sure. But overall, you have allocated more money to the defensive side of the ball, and you have developed this identity that you're going to win games by defense. The problem is, I don't know how sustainable that is. Do you think that adage, defenses win championships, is dead here in 2021 with the offenses we see today?
No, I still think it's a big deal. I still think that's another added piece to those teams that can run the football. They also are the ones that win are the teams that play good defense, right? We saw that last season. With the Bucs. I mean, that defense was so huge once you got to playoff time that they really helped shut things down. We can go back to the Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl championship against Carolina when he was in Denver. Same thing. The defense kind of like did what they needed to do. You make some plays here and there, but I still think it's a big deal. Nowadays, even look at what happened to Kansas City. I mean, your offense starts sputtering a little bit and your defense can't hold anybody. Next thing you know, now you're out. Look at the big chunk yardage play that Green Bay gave up against the Bucs. Same thing. Like, you got to be able to make plays. And I think nowadays in 2021, it's not just that. It's not just having a good defense. It's being balanced on both ends. Of being able to make those plays, to be able to have those explosive plays. And when you watch games, right, you're watching games. I forgot what game it was after the Cleveland game that came on. I think it was the Rams and somebody else. And I was watching these dudes just air out the ball, and I'm going, dude, we don't see that in Chicago, man. Like, where is this offense, man? And to be sold on that 4 years ago, that Matt Nagy was going to take this and this offense and bring it into the new era. And the fact that earlier this week, still trying to figure out 14 points against the Packers, you score a first drive. Next thing you know, you don't score till the fourth quarter. Like, what's going on here? I don't know how they fix this. And they got to find a way because, I mean, it comes down and it's all on his plate, like it or not. I mean, that's why I always thought that he should have gave up play calling a long time ago. It gives you a little bit bigger shelf life and longer shelf life, right? Because then you could blame somebody else.
Exactly.
But it was telling you guys to hear Justin Fields kind of talk about that first game after, he let go of play calling, to listen to Justin Fields talk about how it's tough for Nagy on the sidelines because if the offense isn't going well, now you're worrying about he's got to worry about all three phases of the game. But if the offense isn't going well, he's not in a good mood. So those conversations with his quarterback are a little tense. And then he was talking how refreshing it is to have Bill Lazor, to have the way his calmness.
The calmness,
what I mean?
yep.
Yeah, there's something to say about that. So if it is too much for you, and I would like to see, I know this sounds crazy, but there's only like a handful of dudes, head coaches, Andy Reid, that can sit there and have done it for a long period of time, that can call plays on field level. There's something to say why everybody wants to watch the All-22 when the game's over a couple days later, so they can see everything from the sky, right? Because you see the game different from up high. Bill Lazor sees the game different from the sky, from the box, because
right.
he can kind of see what's going on. I would love to see Matt Nagy one day just go up in the box and be able to call plays and see if that makes a difference, honestly, so he can actually see what's going on instead of being on the field. It's hard field level unless you're one of those OGs like Andy Reid, and not everybody's an OG like that.
Yeah, so you brought it up earlier, though. I mean, are you sold that this is fully Bill Lazor calling all the plays? Because I'm not. I am not sold that this is completely Bill Lazor.
I have no clue.
You can't be.
I have no. It's. I think that's the question that a lot of Bears fans have, man, and I just don't know if we'll ever get a straight answer. You guys know how hard it is. It's hard for them to even talk about it because, I mean, this is the thing that Bears fans were sold on, and so if you don't have an answer for it, it makes it even harder. And I just don't know how they fix this because you look at the roster and the way that it's set up, and then you look at there's a lot of good pieces, but it still feels like it's still not there yet. And how can you not be there? It's year 4. It's year 4. How are you not there yet? Like, how haven't you figured it out? And our job on our end is to talk about it. Their job on their end is to fix it. Figure out how to fix it. Because if you can't fix it, you know what that means? It means somebody else is going to have to find a way to come in and fix it. And I know Bears fans are just they're hot, man, because they want to see it. And I'm tired, man. I love the 85 Bears, man. Love them to death. I love them to death. You know what? Shout out to all those guys. They're all my uncles. They're still eating off of that championship, and rightfully so. But guess what? Man, I want to see another one, man. I want to see another championship. It's getting up close to, I'm 40 years old, about to be 41. We're getting close to my age and how long it's been since we've seen a Bears championship. I'm all here for it, trying to figure out how to get it done and make it happen, because this franchise is the best. I mean, we talk,
right.
We're the founding fathers of the league, man. You look at the names that have been in this organization. I mean, you go through the Hall of Famers, the guys that gave blood, sweat, and tears to be able to get this organization to where it is. The Bears should be good every single year. We should be in the hunt. We should never be out of it. If we don't win it, we should be in the hunt. We should be in the conversation. And that's what I'm hoping and praying that one day we can get back to, because I'm getting tired of hearing people from, other cities call me like, yo, what's going on with your boys? I'm like, I don't know. Do you know?
No.
But it's the guys inside that locker room. They're working hard. It's not like they're not working hard.
Exactly,
man. They're busting their butts. It's just everything hasn't kind of figured itself out. And so this week is huge on Sunday, because if they go to Tampa and they get blown out, you guys, I'm telling you right now, the morale and everything else that's going on, Matt Nagy's going to have a hard time bringing this thing back. And this is where you could start seeing a season spiral out of control if they go and get beat bad. So they got to either win this game or keep it close, because if they don't, and Monday here in Chicago, there's gonna be a lot of conversation, and it won't be a good conversation.
I will say it does seem like the Bears keep the games that they're supposed to get blown out in close, and then get blown out in the games that they're supposed to keep close. Like it's the complete opposite of what you'd expect. Like the spread is 12.5 in this game. Everyone's predicting them to get blown out. I could see them coming in, at least keeping it close in the first half like they usually do. In games that they end up getting blown out in, it's typically 10-7 at some point in the second quarter. You have a chance to make the one explosive play that turns the momentum, and they never do it. So I don't. You're right, though, because for years we've talked about, and going into last week as well, the team is built on momentum. You look at the winning streaks that they've had. I mean, they're sixth in the league since 2018 in wins after a win. So they're 19-10 since 2018 in games after a win. And that speaks directly to momentum and to culture and to building that and morale. And it's like the highs are super high when it comes to that, but the lows are really, really low. And you saw that last year with the 6-game losing streak. Like, it can get ugly quickly, and all it takes is a few dominoes to fall, and it feels like you've lost the locker room and the organization has crumbled. So yeah, I mean, this is a crucial game, and unfortunately you have a daunting opponent in Tampa Bay, and I think the Bears are a better team at home. They've proven that. Going on the road to Tampa Bay with a matchup that doesn't really suit the way you want to play offensively, it's not encouraging. Let's say that. But so what's your prediction for the game? Are you seeing any sort of upset? Or are you going with the loss for the Bears on Sunday?
Well, let's put it this way. Let's phrase it this way.
But Jake, there is no Robert Quinn, and coming into the season,
right, yeah.
Robert Quinn was like the question mark, right? Like, he's got to get off, dude. That's what's been so much fun to watch, is that this Bears defense has been holding up their end of the bargain, man. They've been doing what they need to. I mean, tied for the league in sacks. That's what you want to see. They're getting after the quarterback. Khalil Mack's playing well. Quinn's playing well. So to have those two on a vibe, and then you miss one of those guys, this is one of those key games where you got to have a pass rush, and you got to find a way. The teams that beat Brady, and whether if it's in Tampa or if it's in New England, man, it's getting after him, making him feel uncomfortable in the pocket. If you can't do that and you let him sit back, we know how fast he gets the ball out of his hands.
Right.
And knowing the kind of competitor he is, man, after what happened last year at Soldier Field, he hasn't forgot about that. He
Revenge
has not
game.
forgot about that. So this could be one of those days where he wants to put up 400 on you, man. Like,
and he will do that. Yeah. He will. If he throws 4 touchdowns, you know exactly what he's doing. The moment he throws the 4th touchdown, he's doing this right into the CBS TV cameras. So exactly what he's doing.
I think it's going to be a tough one. I thought last week was the perfect time for them to get the dub, and I think this is going to be a tough one. I don't see them winning. I'm hoping that they do, but I think it's going to be a tough one for them to try to get that dub out there in Tampa.
Well, we know we got to let you go. So real quick, you said you wanted to. I'm on the same wavelength as you. I want to see Justin Fields get a little bit better. For you, against a really good defense with Tampa, what would be a successful Justin Fields game to you?
Man, I'm talking. I want to see him air it out. I want maybe close to anywhere from like high 200s, maybe 300-yard game, 2 touchdowns, 2 tutties, and another maybe 50 on the ground. Take care of the football. I want to see him take. I want to see him take care of the football, and over time, I think my biggest thing with him is watching the way he delivers the football. I still think that there's a little bit, because the game is so fast and the clock in his head is moving so fast, that sometimes those decisions, and this takes a long time. The way he throws here is a long time. You see these guys, it's here and throw, where it's the windup. Over time, I want to see him get better at making those quick decisions. But also, too, in this offense, having a check down where it's over the football, where a running back is looking, no protection, check up down, and just dumping the ball off here and there. Let him kind of get comfortable with the game. And I want to see him keep progressing. I've been happy with what I've seen. I didn't think he was going to come in and it was going to change just because I look at the roster and what he has around him and knowing the play caller and all that other stuff to start the season. I knew it was going to be a learning process. He's still learning. But this is the people that are like upset about quarterbacks of the past. They got to let that go, man. We've never had anything like this here in the city.
Exactly.
Never. We've never at that position. We have never had a dude with his skill set. Never. So it's going to take time. I know we're all anxious because we want to see it happen right away. But this is a process. And it's either you keep him on the sideline and that process is slowed down because for him, he's a gamer. He's got to play. And he's going to have good games. He's going to have bad games. We're going to see it. And we saw it last week. Man, when he's on, he's on. He makes some throws in some tight windows that you look and you go, dang, are you serious? Like, how did he do that? And so we're amazed, but we want to see it all the time. That is only going to come with time. So Bears fans have to pump the brakes a little bit. Just watch this young kid grow. Hopefully he can stay healthy for the remainder of the season. And that after this season, he'll have a lot of these things in his – oh, let's go back real quick. Man, coming out of college, talked about him being the smartest quarterback of the group that were coming out this past draft, right? So him being able to process this stuff is going to be awesome at the end of the season because that's where he's going to be able to go through and watch the film. And the way that he works and his work ethic is something that you can't teach. He wants to be the best. So that goes to show me right now, if you add those two things together and his athletic ability, this young man has the potential to be super, super special. It's just not going to happen overnight. Bears fans just have to pump the brakes a little bit and let's just take it game by game and watch him grow.
And one thing I wanted to add to that too, real quick, is you look at the ways in which you can see Justin Fields progress and be, I've put him in the tier of like a Kyler Murray. When you talk about his running ability, he's not in the upper echelon of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's in a different stratosphere, but I don't see why he can't be a Kyler Murray. Do you think he should, and the offense should be incorporating more QB designed runs because he has 4.4 speed? I've seen it at Ohio State. I just think that can add a completely different element to their offense. And they're not utilizing it correctly. One more, then we'll let you go.
Yeah, I do. I want to see that, but I also think that you have to be very, very careful
with health.
Yeah, with health over time. I mean, it's especially with a rookie, because you see guys just even Mitch had an issue with that because that was one of his biggest gifts was his feet. And they didn't use that enough either. But we also saw shoulder problems too while he was here in Chicago and some of those by taking hits and stuff like that. So you got to be very, very cautious. But yes, do I want to see it? Yeah. He's got to be smart about it too and not try to be Superman. But yeah, I think it adds another dynamic to your offense, which, other teams have to kind of game plan for. And it's not easy week to week to have a guy with that type of skill set on your roster to be able to run your scout team and what you're looking at for your defense. So, yeah, mixing it up a little bit, I think definitely would help. But yes, early on, you're going to have to use it now while you can, but you also have to be smart about it. And I'm always very cautious with how much you run quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, because, we all in that game, man, playing the game, we're all runners, especially offensive guys.
I'm still not sure about that.
Oh, that's Surrey.
Surrey's going off.
Surrey on my watch.
Surrey's not sure about Justin Fields' running ability.
He's good. He good, Surrey. He's good. So I just be very cautious, but I just hope Bears fans just understand this kid's special. Let's sit back and watch. Let's enjoy, and let's not rush the process, man. There's a lot of other things that need to be kind of implemented, and things that Ryan Pace or long-term, whoever the GM is going to be long-term has to fix to get this thing right. And it should be all about building around Justin Fields and making sure he has all the utensils and everything in his bag to be able to be successful because we see it in the NFL now, man. All these quarterbacks, they're doing everything they can to be able to be successful. And, the great ones, as they get older, then they get an opportunity to be able to shop for the groceries too, right? Tom Brady said, "Yo, I want this guy. Bring Gronk. I want to bring that's where you want to be at some point, because then when you have that guy, man, you put the pieces around him. That's what helps you get to what everybody's trying to get to, and that's the Super Bowl championship."
Jarrett, you were awesome. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, Jarrett Payton, everyone at Payton Son. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah,
we got to have you back.
It's right there, man. It's right
Payton
there.
Son.
Yeah, it's right there.
Twitter.
All right, we'll bring you back to be a recurring guest.
All right, cool, man. I appreciate you guys, man. Keep doing good work, man. You guys are doing Bears Nation, you're doing everybody proud, man. So keep doing what you're doing. Enjoy yourself. And, man, keep talking what you need to talk, man. You guys got to be that gospel for the Bears fans out there, man, because they need more content. So you got to keep making that content, you know?
Trying. Well, that's why we got to bring you back. We got to keep it going. We got to keep the gravy train rolling.
You know how we do, baby.
Yeah,
right,
Jarrett Payton, everyone. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
it, Jarrett.
Man.
Take it easy.
Right.
Jarrett Payton, everyone, joined Bears Nation podcast. Great conversation, was awesome. He originally gave us a little bit of time, and then it went into a big amount of time. So we appreciate that, Jarrett.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Thank
Super
you for
generous.
your time. I mean, said a lot of stuff that we've talked about. A lot of stuff that we've talked about on the show, specifically with Justin Fields' development. Specifically with that.
Yeah, specifically with that. He spoke a lot about that. And again, specifically with him, he really sees it as well. And he's kind of that voice that you have been for a while about, look, this is
imagine that.
About patience. Maybe Jake knows what he's talking
about.
That's
so crazy.
Validation. This is crazy.
Validation. After the comments
comment
section was yelling at me on Monday for my defense of Sam Mustipher and last week of taking baby steps. Crazy how that works.
I got to be honest. Most of the guests that come on this show validate Jake Hassan. I mean, Tom validated you. Adam Ho validated you. Adam Johns validated you. Jarrett Payton validated you. Probably
I'm just going to keep a list going.
You can just go down the list.
I might put a list up on the wall and just I'll get a whiteboard and I'll get that.
The people who have validated you.
And then anytime you argue with me, I'm just going to reference the board. I think that's how that'll work.
Yeah,
I think that works.
Don't say anything and just
right.
That's a good strategy.
I mean, I need to get something on these walls because I've been here for 6 months and there's been nothing on these walls.
I mean, I've got the flags and the
well,
lights.
You're still in college too. It's but easier for you. You just roll over stuff.
You don't have like a poster, hanging around, a Game of Thrones or something. I mean,
God
forbid you put a St. Louis Cardinals poster up or anything of that nature. But
I had a Mike Ditka picture, but it's hanging in the hallway.
Oh, well, what the heck?
That's for the entire apartment. Okay. It is signed. No big deal.
Okay. But, whoa. There you go. But
cool.
Look, man, I mean, again,
back to the actual football.
Back to the actual great guest that we just had. That was phenomenal. But it's like, again, this fan base, and this will be the case, is naturally impatient. But the problem is the impatience has grown because now you have the guy that's supposed to relieve your impatience, but it's still not coming. So the impatience has exponentially grown. And that's why you're starting to see that's why Overreaction Monday gets elevated now. That's why the next few weeks, it's like, okay, this is supposed to be where it's happening. Like with Mitch Trubisky, people were impatient, but everybody also kind of knew that the expectations were lower in those years. Now, when you raise the expectations and you're not meeting the raised expectations, it becomes a heck of a lot more frustrating. But as Jarrett said, and this is why it's so important to hear it from him, to hear it from an established person who's, familiar with the players, familiar with the organization, is he's, first of all, not in the correct situation to where you may never even see his full potential this year, which Jake has spoken about, but it's also going to take a significant amount of time to where that real floor is hit, where that real floor, and a floor, what I mean is floor of Justin Fields' potential, which what we know as,
I think
scouts.
You mean ceiling?
Or no, because he hasn't, Jake, it feels like he hasn't reached his floor. Like the ceiling is the peak that I mentioned that we probably won't see in 2021, but the floor of at least, the 280 yards, the 3 touchdowns, like that should be.
So you're talking about like the average, like
yes,
like what,
like
a baseline.
And that's why, exactly. And that's why people are frustrated, because they know he's capable of more. They know he's capable of at least 250 a week and 2 touchdowns. And it's below that, and that's at least that frustration. But it was great to hear from Jarrett that, look, this is a process, this is patience, and you have to take in consideration the situation. And if you don't do that, you're gonna look at it the same way you looked at things in the past. The problem becomes the quarterback when that's not always the case. And like I said, Jake, those casuals are out there. Those casuals are out there on Facebook, on Twitter with their trigger finger saying, I don't know if Justin's the guy. I don't know. We got to figure it out now. But you have to take everything in consideration and be patient. So.
Yeah, patience is something that, Chicago Bears fans are very well known for, obviously. No, but I mean, you're right. We need to see the baseline and just, because I don't want to spend too much time on Mitch Trubisky. That ship has sailed. But his expectations, I think, were lower in his rookie season because you had the John Fox factor, too. Like, you knew John Fox went up there one game and bragged about throwing the ball 7 times only in a game.
So why doesn't that apply to Justin Fields then? Jake, in 5 years, we'll be saying the same thing. We'll be saying, well, we have to have temporary expectations in Justin Fields' rookie year because he had Matt Nagy. The way you're talking about John Fox and Trubisky will be the same way we're talking about Justin Fields and Matt Nagy. And
it may be, but I'm talking about in like comparison right now. Like Matt Nagy's in his 4th year as a head coach. And whereas John Fox had, like, you knew who John Fox was going in. Yes, we have a good idea of who Matt Nagy is 4 years in. But like, it's not that same 20-year experience, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. But actually talking about this game, one thing that I thought of when you were referencing Tampa Bay's stats as far as passing defense goes, they're near the bottom. They're in the bottom 5, 6, however much of the league in passing defense specifically, because we know their rushing defense is phenomenal. But also, and Jarrett kind of mentioned this. It doesn't really matter. Like, you reference the stats. The Bears, though, are also in the bottom of the league offensively passing.
I know.
I get why you brought it up. It made sense to bring it up. But it's also, we're just not. The one thing that does make me, and we talk about Justin Fields' progression and the baby steps and why he can maybe have a good game. And like Jarrett said, I just want to see, and you mentioned the baseline and see that progression, is that he's still being aggressive. He's still being that aggressive guy. He's still taking those shots. He's still first in aggressiveness rating, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which, considering especially that his top target, quote unquote, if you want to consider Allen Robinson that, I'm still considering Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields' personal top target. But Allen Robinson's getting no separation. He's not getting anything on his routes. So
second to last in the league.
It's good. It's good to see. I just want to personally see the continued use of everyone. Cole Kmet specifically, we saw him kind of
the continued use of everyone
from last week. From last week, like
we saw.
You saw Cole Kmet. That's a step up because before it was just Mooney and Robinson. Now you got 3 guys. I take that as a step up.
That's a win.
Anyway, let's get into the injury report from today. It wasn't great, but Garrett mentioned Robert Quinn is someone who you're probably not going to have this week. And
it depends. Does he get that second? So here's the difference, though. And a lot of people don't understand this. And this is why reporters have asked for months what the player's vaccination status is because if you are vaccinated, you can return to play with 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. So Robert Quinn tested positive, but because he's vaccinated, if he receives 2 negative tests 24 hours apart, he is eligible to play on Sunday. Whereas if you were unvaccinated, no shot you could play. You got to hold out, the 10-day quarantine.
Do we know if Damian Williams is vaccinated? I'm not so super worried about that because Khalil Herbert is still
I'm not
really
worried
good,
about it. I don't know, but it would
be nice. It would be nice to
know.
So anyway,
I think he's out regardless, Damian. I think he's out for this week regardless. But I'm not sure.
Going through the injury report, Jimmy Graham still got his veteran rest day, did not practice. Akeem Hicks did not practice. Jakeem Grant Sr. did not practice. Caleb Johnson did not practice. Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson round out the do not practice.
Of course.
Khalil Mack didn't practice on the first day last week. It doesn't matter. I think especially if Robert Quinn's status is in doubt, Khalil Mack's going to play. I would venture to say that Allen Robinson is going to play as well. Elsewhere, full practices from Herbert and Crawford. Tayshaun Gibson Sr. limited. It's worth mentioning. I'm just going through the list, Kevin. Shut up. JP Holtz limited. Darnell Mooney limited. So, I mean, you're going to get – I mean, I think Khalil Mack plays. I think Allen Robinson plays. But Akeem Hicks, he's the one I'm worried about. I'm not sure he's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, look, but he always finds a way to play somehow, some way, and then he gets re-injured on a sack
right. So here's my thing with that with Akeem Hicks. Like he always finds some way to play. Dude. Is it more harmful to have him play and go out after half a quarter and not return to the game than to not have him play at all?
No, it's not more. Like legitimately more harmful.
Because then that's
injured and then he's not
that
healing.
Too. But then that's also a spot you have to fill
that you didn't think you had to fill pregame, is what you're saying. Like you didn't know you didn't.
Like you game planned. Okay, we're gonna have Akeem. All right, cool. And then you lose him 5 minutes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's fairness to that, but I don't know. I mean, again, look, I said 2 weeks ago, Jake. What did I say? Like, look, he's influential, but he's not as influential as what he used to be. Like, I think everybody has come to that same point where you see Akeem Hicks on the injury report, and it isn't as much of an oh shit moment as it has been in the past. You know what I mean? But don't get without a doubt, he is valuable to that defense, and he means a lot. But again, you know, if Mario Edwards would just stop committing unnecessary roughness penalties and taunting penalties, he's been great in that spot. And Eddie Goldman needs to ramp it up a little bit. But that's why, you know, I think a lot of this, the pressure from inside matters. But if you want to take last year's game as, you know, a formula to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it starts and ends with Khalil Mack. The dude had 3 sacks last year. And it's almost like you almost feel like if he doesn't get 3 this week, they don't have a chance to win, right? Like that's almost what it feels like. So that's what I mean when I say it starts with and it ends with Khalil. And it's also to say this, you know, people who are worried about Robert Quinn not being there. Well, last year's game, Robert Quinn was probably all but a non-factor in that game last year, and Khalil still had 3 sacks. He's capable of doing it on his own, but it starts up front. And I like, again, this is what frustrates me though, because Jarrett said you're winning this game. You go up with an early lead and your defense holds them out. I don't know if that's possible. I don't like on the road, you know, fans in the stands. There was no fans last year. You're at home. I don't know what difference that made, but you're on the road in Tampa Bay. All of this, I don't have faith they can do it. I don't.
No, oh God, no. Because also, I mean, Jarrett mentioned it, and we've talked about it before. Revenge factor here is
you freaking
huge. Know. Like it's just like like he said, it's going to be something that he's been thinking about for the past year plus, and that. I mean, Tom Brady is someone that is just going to that competitor, and he's just that guy who's going to want to be. He's going to want to stick it to you because he's going to want to get revenge. Fair,
he probably wanted to stick it to Nick Foles last year and he didn't do it. So what? No, the conclusion is.
So now it's double. That's worse.
No. You start Nick Foles. That's what you do in this game. Sit Justin Fields on the bench, start Nick Foles, and you win. What are the odds of Nick Foles getting a snap in this game? Plus 47,000, probably. You got a quarter to place on the odds of Nick Foles starting a snap? No. But look, so here, okay. This is why, I just don't like. This is why I'm so confused because look, we went on this Bucs podcast last night. Cool guys over there, Bucs Report, follow them. And what I told them was like, teams are rushing against the Buccaneers at the lowest clip in the league. Guess what percentage of the times teams are rushing against the Buccaneers? If you had to guess what it is. What percentage of the time are they rushing against the Buccaneers? It's very low. It's
11%.
Okay, that's too low. 27%. But the next best is like 34. Okay? Damn. So teams do their research. I don't know if Matt Nagy does. Does Matt Nagy really look at this stuff in the middle of the week? I don't know.
I mean, he does have a propensity to abandon the run. So
but
this might work out.
That's what I'm saying is like, if he looks at these stats and he looks at the previous games and what I want to do is highlight how the teams that had beat them, the one team that has beat them, the Los Angeles Rams beat them, it wasn't by a dominating running game. Sony Michel had 67 yards on 20 rushes in the game. He was the leading rusher for the Rams. He rushed for like 3.1 yards per carry. You're not winning that game with Khalil Herbert rushing the ball 25 times. You're not.
Right.
And that's why I asked Jarrett, the first question I asked was, is this the game Justin Fields, is it the breakout game? And it wasn't because, and like, I meant that more of a question as, is this the game because they have a vulnerable defense, or is this the game because he gets the opportunities now? I mean, how many passes did he throw for last week?
27.
I don't remember. 27. He hasn't thrown for 30. He hasn't, and like
27 was his highest though.
Yeah, he was his highest. So that's maybe we see 34. Like, I would love 34, 26 for 34. I would dream of that stat line. And if you look at the Rams and how they beat Tampa Bay, they first started with a whole lot of dink and dunk and underneath stuff, and they're vulnerable. They allow those things underneath, and if that's the case, great. If the Bears are good at one thing, it's dinking and ducking your team to death, right? Yeah. But the things that the Rams did and what they have the capability to do,
I don't know if they're good at it because they don't really.
Okay. They're not good at it, but they know how to do it. They try it. They're gonna at least do it. They're gonna do that. You like wide receiver screens? You're gonna see that. But the thing that Los Angeles was able to do that won them that game and broke down Tom Brady, because you saw Tom Brady on the bench with the hands on his head, and you rarely see Tom Brady like that. They were able to hit on the explosive plays. I mean, Deshaun Jackson scored a 75-yard touchdown. Cooper Kupp was found on the field a bunch of times. He had 90 receptions, 2 touchdowns. You can start building rhythm with the short game, with the dinks and dunks, but if you don't make that game back-breaking play, the explosive play, you're not beating this team. And the Bears can't do that. So that's why I'm like, this matchup sucks. This matchup is terrible for you because the Bears want to run you to death. They want to dink and dunk you to death, but they can't. And it'll work for one drive, Jake. Again, it might be 7-7 at the start of this game. Bears come out with a great drive, dunk and dunk, a few great runs, right? And then they can't hit on the explosive plays, and it all goes downhill. So that's why this matchup sucks for the Bears. And I'm sounding like a Debbie Downer, which is very rare for me. The eternal optimist Kevin Lapka the soul has left my body. But that's the way I see this game, Jay.
No, and here's the thing. I mean, I don't think anybody can be, call us pessimists or say that we're being Debbie Downers for this game, because you have to be realistic. There was a realistic, given the injuries and given the Packers, what they've done this year, they've looked vulnerable. Tampa Bay's looked unbelievable all year, especially their front seven. Tom Brady looks great this year. Tom Brady and Antonio Brown have been like this, best buds all year. So that's why. I mean, we can't be accused of being Debbie Downers when you have a very aggressively mediocre team in the Bears going against the defending Super Bowl champs who are going to be Super Bowl contenders, you have to think, once again. So that's why we're being Debbie Downers. That's why the spread is 12.5. That's why we're going into this week. That's why we're talking about with Jarrett Payton. We just want to see some progression from Justin Fields. We just want to see a little bit of progression. Let him air it out. Let the kid throw. That's why. Because, and here's the thing. We said it on Monday. This stupid team is going to win. This stupid team is going to go out there. We're both going to say that the Bears are going to go out there and get their break speed off them, and then they're going to win. And Cairo Santos is going to beat the Bucs on a last-second field goal once again, and it's going to be insane. And we're going to come here on Monday morning, or not Monday morning, but we're going to come here on Monday, and we're going to say,
Nagy's not getting fired.
No, not even that. I'm going to sit in this chair on Monday and be like, I don't know. I don't know. That's what's going to happen, because that's what this team does. They make us rip our hair out, and then after that we have the Niners. After that,
winnable game. I think you got the Niners,
and then Trey Lance is just going to absolutely torch them, and it's going to be so infuriating.
I wouldn't bet on that, but it's possible.
So,
it's yes. What you're talking about, like yes. They're confusing, they're annoying, they do everything you don't expect them to do, and that's why it's so frustrating, And that's why I said to Jerry, I said, look, the Bears keep games close. They're not supposed to keep close. Like, I'm going to pick them to cover the spread because they're like either, yeah, I am, Jake. Either they're going to keep it close from the start and the Buccaneers are going to score like it's going to be another 24-14, or they're going to make a fake comeback in the fourth quarter and score like 2 touchdowns in the fourth and bring it back and do a late cover. What do you call that, Jake? You're the better man. What do you call that when you do backdoor cover? That's what it's called. Backdoor cover. You know what I mean? So if I had to guess, here's what's going to happen, Jake. If I had to guess the formula of this game, what's going to happen? Buccaneers score first, go up 7-0. It stays that way for the whole first quarter. Bears score early in the second quarter. You get a nice field position somehow, some way. You score at 7-7. Buccaneers get like a field goal in the second quarter, maybe a touchdown. It's 14-7 at the half. You're like, oh, this is a game, man. Like they have a shot. This is a game. Third quarter, Bears get a field goal. They keep them close. Like 6 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Bears are down like 14-10 or 17-4, something of that nature, right? It's an in-reach game. And then Tom Brady hits like Antonio Brown for a 70-yard touchdown, or somebody on the Bears fumbles, and then the Bucs go up like 24-14, but then the Bears crawl back. The Bears score a touchdown or field goal 24-17 or something, and then the Buccaneers throw the dagger in you, and it's 31, 21 at finals. How this game's going to play out. This is what happens every single week. They're going to keep it close. There's going to be a point in this game where you're going to say the Bears might have a chance to win. Like the 1% chance that you have the Bears are going to win, it might happen for 2 quarters of that game, and they're going to break your hearts. And that's why losses feel so excruciating for this team in comparison. Just let us get blown out. All right. It hurts more to keep it close and then lose in that fashion. Am I wrong?
No, it definitely. Because when you get blown out, you have time to just resign yourself to the fact and just say, okay, this is happening. I get what you're saying completely. No, absolutely get what you're saying. All right, well, in the last couple minutes here, let's do our predictions. That being said, the spread is 12.5, obviously in the Bucs' favor. It's in Tampa Bay. All right, I mean, I think it's going to be ugly. I 31-10. I think this game is the Bucs. And you know what? I think you're exactly right, Kevin. It's going to be 14-7 at the half. It's going to be 14-7 at the half, and you're going to lose 31-10. It's just going to be something where you're going into the half, you're saying, all right, here we go. There was some stuff. All right. And then, like Jarrett Payton said, they don't make the adjustments. There's nothing that gets done at halftime. They come out flat. They're whatever. They don't adjust. The Bucs do adjust, and they just run away with it in the second half. 31-10.
Don't get me wrong, Jake. When it's 14-7 at the half, I'm going to be freaking cheering my ass off. Like, holy shit.
Tweets are going to be flying.
Yeah, I don't, this Bears team, man, I don't know. Like, they might have something, I don't know. And then we're going to get let down again. I'm going to go 31-23. Again, like, I do think this game is kept a little bit closer. I don't know why or how, but gut feeling. Gut feeling. I don't have explanations for this anymore, dude. I don't.
I like that you just lean into the bit of being the eternal optimist. Like you're admitting no reason, nothing to it. You're just going with it. I respect
Someone's
that.
Got to provide that perspective.
I have to respect it. Yeah.
You got to do it, man. Everyone else is so negative. I mean, shit, I picked them to lose, so I don't really know how optimistic there's got to be somebody out there who's picking them to win. Shit, me from 3 years ago probably would have picked them to win at this rate. But this is a different time, and after accepting what Matt Nagy is and everyone in the world knowing that, including the opposing team, you have zero basis to actually believe like wholeheartedly that they're going to win. So 31-23, Bucs. We're now even on yearly predictions. We're both 4-2. So I guess we'll find out this week who takes the reins. Well, actually, no, we'd either both be 4-3 or both be 5-2. So.
That does it. All right. Well, that does it. Another episode of Bears Nation Podcast in the books. Thank you to Jarrett Payton. Great time talking with him today. That was awesome. Great interview. If you didn't, for some reason, go listen to it again, just because Jarrett's a great guy, and that was a lot of fun. But anyway, that does it for me and Kevin. We'll be back on Monday to break down what is likely going to be a Bears loss. But regardless, hey, let's have some fun this weekend. Everybody go have some fun. Let's hope Justin Fields actually has some fun, even if they probably don't win. But for myself, for Kevin, this has been Bears Nation Podcast. See you Monday. And until then, bear down.
Bear down.